Hello friends, in this video we're going to look at this Roland EP7 II digital piano that I picked up at a thrift store recently. Sticker price was $6.99 and I got a 25% discount, so it's about $4.50. Came with this power supply module as well as a foot pedal. I haven't tried this out yet, we'll do that together. One thing I did find in the store, there's one key, this one, this A, that's just stuck very hard. It's like something's underneath it or it's glued or something. It just really doesn't move at all. So that's kind of an odd thing. The research I've done shows this is from 1993 approximately. Feature-wise, it has similar features to a piano that I bought about 5 years ago, a Casio for in the $300 range, that I was just kind of hoping to use in my office as kind of a try it out sort of thing. Oh, I just noticed these two here are sticky, stuck together in some way. So we're definitely going to be taking this apart at the end of the video. Stay tuned for that. But first we'll do some basic tests on it and see how it works. I'm about to try it out for the first time. My guess is that it works overall but has some problems. So let's find out. Power on. It's hard to see, but the little LED is glowing. See if we get any tone. Oh. Okay, I guess the LED wasn't glowing. Maybe it just takes a second to get started, I'm not sure. That's pretty loud. I had a Korg keyboard from about this same era, maybe a few years older, for a long time. It was also a digital piano, which is basically what that really means is a couple of piano voices and a couple of related voices that you might have. I bought it at the time for about $1,000, hoping that it would have a good piano sound that would be, you know, a reasonable substitute for an acoustic piano. And one thing I found out is that there's really no substitute for an acoustic piano. So, you know, it is what it is. So aside from sticky key there, which literally might be somebody poured something in it, Coke or whatever. Whoop. So the keys have some problems. That's going to definitely be something to look into. The sound of it is fine overall. Probably not up to current standards, but for the era, I think this is a good piano sound. Roland is kind of known as one of the better sounding producers of synthesized music, or at least was back then. So this is piano 1, piano 2, which probably sounds just a little different. It's really hard for me to tell the difference real quick. Here's E piano, which is meaning electronic piano, some sort of Rhodes or Fender. So this sounds like the like a Rhodes piano, which is kind of an electromechanical system. These have the quality of, when you hit them louder, you don't just get louder, but you get a different tone as well. The reason for that is in the original Rhodes pianos, the mechanical part of it would sort of limit, and so that may seem like a drawback, but it's actually a benefit in the sense that you can make a choice artistically as a player of what sort of sound you want to get from it. So like you could just turn down the volume and hit the keys harder and get a different sound. So back to piano, we've got chorus, which usually gives it some sort of a hall sound. That lingers even after I take off the keys. Reverb, usually kind of a bigger hall sound. We've got this 4-piece selector here, which I assume goes with demo mode. Let's hit demo. We're on piece 1. So that's consistent with what I've heard on these type of pianos. They actually sound pretty good on the high end, and on the low end they don't sound as good. And in particular, I've got a Yamaha that's about 10 years old that has a kind of a, it's even hard to describe, it just isn't a very clear sound in the mid-range. Kind of thing you might not notice buying it in a store or whatever, but once you get it home and start to work with it, it's really a disadvantage. This is demo piece number 2. So on the high end, this has a real good percussive sound, which a good quality piano, acoustic piano, would have. And they're kind of showing that off in the demos. So let's go to demo 3. Okay, let's do demo 4. Oh, I forgot I haven't tried some of the other voices here. Let's try the vibraphone. That's pretty good. Harpsichord. Oops, I didn't hit the key hard enough. These harpsichord sounds typically have kind of a electronic quality to them that isn't really authentic, but reasonably close. Here's organ. A lot of the electronic organ sounds that I've heard are actually quite good. Is that still harpsichord? Not impressed with that organ sound. Let's try choir. So this is in the category of, you know, it has a little bit of a human sound as in a choir, but it's obviously an electronic sound. So this was probably in its day, I would guess, kind of a mid-range type instrument, maybe not the top of the line, but I'd say this is pretty comparable to the Korg that I had years ago that I paid about $1,000 for. Today you have to wonder what the use of something like this is. I'm not quite sure what the value of it is. It's certainly worth more than $4.50, especially after I fix the problems. but you know, you can get something with a more convincing sound nowadays at a reasonable price point, like the $300 Casio that I have. We'll try to go through that in a future video, so watch for that. Now, some keyboards, you know, that are, let's say, 20, 30 years old may have value as a sort of a vintage sound that somebody wants. And a great example of that is the Hammond B3 organ, and there are a lot of other related Hammond organs that make the same sorts of sounds. It's a particular sound that people value. There are electronic versions of it, but the original Hammond B3 is kind of the Hammond organ of choice for professional players. Like one thing on Saturday Night Live, if you watch carefully, the band has an actual Hammond B3 in the background. They're really big and heavy, and the only reason that a professional musician would want one is because they think the sound is something that just isn't quite duplicated. So, you know, getting back to this one, the vintage sound may be of interest to somebody, but, you know, honestly, this is probably more of a parts piece, or sell it locally for not all that much money, you know, $50, $100 maybe. This would make an okay instrument for somebody learning. Let's say you had a child that was learning and you weren't really sure if the child was going to stick with the piano lessons. You know, get into something like this for $50, and then if it works out, get the child something better. So now let's look at what we've got here. We're missing the music stand. I don't think that's a real big thing. Let's look at the back of this and see what the back panel looks like. Here's the back panel. Got the DC power input, output, right, left, and left is mono. Input, right, left, and mono. So I assume those are audio inputs if you want to reuse the speakers and amplifiers here. Here we've got the pedal inputs, damper and soft. This only came with one foot pedal switch, but these are kind of interchangeable on a lot of units. I have one in my junk box that would probably work. We've got damper is really the one you're mostly interested in. Soft doesn't get used that much in practice. This has MIDI input and output connectors. This is an old-fashioned serial interface on a, what is it, 5-pin DIN connector. These are not typically used on new equipment. They usually have some sort of USB interface that carries the same data. I see this has a tuning feature to let you probably adjust the pitch a little bit, maybe to match some other instrument. So that's probably what that's all about. The name brand. Looking at the speakers, this isn't too impressive as far as they're not very big speakers, so we could probably get a better sound out of this by piping it through a better amplifier and speaker system. But you know, it's okay for what it is for now. Let's take a quick look at the bottom, which I haven't done yet. One of our rubber feet is missing over here. The other three are there. This has a pretty substantial metal case, so that's well built. Now I've already edited some of my earlier footage a little bit, and I realized that there's a lot of this kind of brown gunk here, which makes me think that somebody did spill a Coke on it or whatever, or who knows. But so the guess is that even though this basically works whoever owned it before didn't want to mess with the problems, didn't want to deal with it. That's kind of what I do around here for your entertainment and mine. Well, since I shot the first part of this video, a certain kitty cat, who shall remain nameless, has walked all over this and got it all messy again. But that's easily remedied. Did you do that, Scooter? Okay, at least you're honest about it. That ends the first part of our series on this Roland EP2. In the second part, we'll flip it over, take it apart, try to solve the problems, and look at the interior electronics and speaker design. So thanks for watching, and bye-bye.